Welcome to CivilNet. I have a really special guest in the studio here today. Her name is Becky Berberian. She is a registered nurse, and she was here with a group of Armenian American and American doctors on a medical mission to Noyemberyan, a border region with Azerbaijan. Becky, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
As I said, you're a registered nurse, but currently you are the Director of Risk Management and Infection Control at White Memorial Medical Center in Los Angeles in California, and you were here with about 35 medical professionals from the United States. Tell me about that mission, if you will, and what was the objective behind it?
Yes, so I participated in this medical mission with Glendale Adventist Medical Center, which is a sister hospital to White Memorial Medical Center. And due to the fact that there's such a large community of Armenians in Glendale, Glendale Adventist thought that it would be a special endeavor to find an area, an underserved area in Armenia, and provide medical services to that area. So in May, a group of physicians and the president of Glendale Adventist, Kevin Roberts, came out and they decided to start the mission, first mission in Noyemberyan. And from then on, from May until October, the planning began and the team was brought together. As you said, there were 30 physicians, nurses. We had a biomedical engineer who came ahead and checked all the equipment that we brought. We had a pharmacist who sent over multiple boxes and pounds of medications ahead of time as well.
You were telling me you brought almost 2 tons worth of medication equipment with you. Becky, this isn't your first time taking part in a mission. You've been to Peru on other occasions. What did it mean for you as an Armenian American to come to Armenia and serve in a, as you said, under sort of serviced medical center in a very vulnerable and dangerous region of the country?
It was an experience that I won't forget. I won't forget the faces of the patients that we saw, the family members, and it was just a very, lack of a better term, a very good feeling to be able to take care of our own, even as small as the number of patients that we were really able to see. It was just a dent in what is really needed in that region. Adventist's mission is to, through God's love, to serve people. And each one of our hospitals has a unique population that we do serve, an underserved population. So this wasn't all that different than what we do every day in our own hospitals. But being able to be with Armenians, the team was incredible. The whole team sacrificed their time away from their families and worked to do this.
Yeah, I want to get an understanding of what the reactions were by the doctors and nurses in the hospital and by the communities and the people that you were able to help, because you also performed a number of surgeries other than outpatient sort of services. What were the reactions? Were they welcoming? Did they feel somewhat that, well, you know, we are good doctors, so why do we need doctors from abroad to come here? What were the
I would say that there was nothing but gratitude and appreciation for the help that we were offering, the medical equipment that we brought and as well left there. I think initially there may have been a little bit of feelings of being unsure of our reasons for also being there, but we wanted to be able to do teaching as well. There were physicians that, one physician went over a procedure, for instance, a pacemaker. He brought 2 pacemakers with him and did some teaching with that, as well as stroke prevention. I know in the operating room I worked with the nurses on working with laparoscopic equipment for procedures related to removing gallbladders laparoscopically. And they were very grateful and appreciative to that, because in the United States we function just a little bit different in the operating room than what I saw they were doing here.
And what about the competency here?
I felt that they were just excellent practitioners. And if anything, the reason why their practice may have been different is because they don't have the supplies that we have here. We are very used to disposing of sheets and gowns and gloves, and that's not the situation here.
It's certainly a lack of not necessarily ability, education, knowledge, but lack of supplies that would enhance their service to the communities. Some of the operations that you conducted, you did it free of charge for the patients?
Yes, the patients were not charged for those procedures, medications. There was even an arrangement made with the hospital for not charging the patients for the labs that were done as well. And getting back to your question and point about the staff and their competencies, we would like to actually bring at least 2 of the operating room nurses to Glendale Adventist and have them shadow some of our nurses and understand what our practices are.
It's fantastic. You know, we always talk about this, and I'll get back to the idea or come to the idea of diaspora Armenian sort of relations. But I was looking at some of the photos that you had sent, and there's one of you with a little girl, and you had sort of blown up a surgical glove. What was all that about?
We do that at home as well. You know, we don't have toys or balloons in the operating room due to safety issues and infection control concerns. And so we often blow up a glove that looks like a balloon, and it has funny fingers, and we'll draw a face on it. And this special little girl who was in for a procedure on her mouth, that seemed to calm her a little bit. She was a very sweet girl, and she touched everyone's hearts there.
And there was one story about how you noticed that the hands of the villagers were black. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the first day we continued to notice that many of the gentlemen's fingers had some type of black film on them. And initially I thought they were mechanics or working with some type of ink. And so after probably the end of the first day, we asked what it was from and understood that it was from the oil from the walnuts. So that was an aha moment for all of us, and something that we take for granted. One of the gentlemen had inquired if possibly he could have a few pair of gloves, and you know, for us, we throw them away like they're I don't know, gloves. And we had a lot of very special moments such as that.
So you gave him the gloves?
We gave him a lot of gloves.
You gave him a lot of gloves.
He will not have, he will not want for gloves for a while.
And what about the non-Armenians who were with you, for many of them probably the first time in Armenia? What were their reactions, and how did they feel being here?
First of all, I gave them a lot of credit for coming on this trip. And I think from the moment they stepped off the plane, first of all, they felt Armenia's hospitality. I don't think there's anywhere more hospitable than Armenia and the people here, from the beginning of our meals together to just getting to the hospital. And they were overwhelmed by that, as well as the Armenians that had never been here before. And that this was something very, very moving for them as well. To see Masi Sar for the first time, for many of them, was quite emotional. And then to be appreciated by these families and patients also was very worthwhile.
You know, it's been 25 years now almost since independence, and we have this constant national dialogue, this discourse about Armenia diaspora relations. And in the first years, as the Soviet Union was collapsing with the earthquake and the war, diaspora extended its assistance to Armenia in terms of not only money, but supplies, energy, whatever it was. And now it's at a point where that charity is no longer perhaps needed. What we oftentimes say is that we need the technical experience, we need the brain circulation, So when I heard about this mission, I thought this is the perfect example of how to assist the homeland. It's not about only bringing supplies, but it's bringing people like yourself to actually work and take time off from your own life, as you said, from your own job and being away from your family to come and serve here. Is this a model that is understood, let's say, in the Armenian community in California?
From what I saw and experienced, I think it's still a little bit of both. A little bit of, and I don't want to use the word charity, but it is charity work, it is mission work, but still I do believe that we still need supplies here, whether or not it's medications or surgical instruments. We still need that here, as well as just putting our heads together and working together and understanding how we do things in the United States, which are very similar to here, and just putting our heads together and see how we can work together, and not so much the charity aspect of it.
Well, thank you so much for coming to CivilNet to tell us about your experience and sharing the photos that everybody saw, and for coming on this mission. And I'm sure you've impacted many lives, not only physically, but also psychologically and emotionally.
Thank you, and I look forward to coming back again next year. There were many individuals at both of the Adventist hospitals or the Southern California network that felt very left out and want to join as well. So we'll have a much larger group next year.
Well, we look forward to hosting you here again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Becky Berberian. She is a registered nurse from the United States who was here as part of a medical mission to Noyemberyan. Keep following CivilNet.